Hello, welcome to TV Africa News and thank you for always joining us. This is Africa Today. My name is Najuma Lima, but first are the headlines. General Katumba reiterates that no one except the president is exempt from paying toll fees. UNBS waives inspection surcharge fees on newly tagged commodities for 3 months. And in sports, Indomitable Lions of Cameroon qualify for the next round of 16. A warm welcome once again. Now the news in detail. The Minister for Works and Transport, General Katumba Wamala, has reiterated that the President, who is also the Fountain of Honor, is the only person who can ply the Kampala-Entebbe Expressway minus paying any money at the toll gates. We have more.
General Katumba was speaking to members of parliament at the height of incessant requests from different government officials to have their toll fees for the travel via the Kampala-Entebbe Expressway waived. The minister maintained that the president and his convoy are exempt from the toll, unlike the rest of the officials. He, however, notes that if the cabinet can amend the regulations, then the vice president, speaker, and deputy speaker can be exempted from the toll. General Katumba's comments come shortly after a request from the Uganda police seeking an exemption on the toll fees. The request was expressed by the force's chief political commissar, who argued that police patrol vans manning the improper security checks on the expressway would need an exemption. However, UNRA in reply urged the Uganda police to devise means to keep up with the tolling fees. A statement from UNRA read that all institutions of government are now required to plan for and acquire toll cards for ease of conduct of their operations while on the expressway. Since the launch of the expressway, at least 60,000 motorists have paid on use, and this has translated into 250 million shillings collections towards government treasury.
The leadership of the Uganda Medical Laboratory Technology Association of Uganda has directed all its members to report back on duty following a 3-week strike after government agreed to have their issues handled within a month. Nalugo reports.
Speaking to journalists in Kampala, Wawi Patrick, the first vice president in charge of discipline and training in Uganda Medical Laboratory Technology Association, said they had a meeting with the Minister for Public Service on the 11th of January 2022, and he directed that their issues be solved in less than a month.
1. To conclude the ongoing restructuring of the Ministry of Health and give special consideration to medical laboratory cadre to address the identified gaps in the line with the scheme of service. And ongoing further, any consultations in line with the medical laboratory, it should be done with the involvement of the leadership of the association. 2. Work out modalities in the implementation of the scheme of service for the medical laboratory cadre, which was issued under the Circular Standing Order Instruction number 9 of 2018.
It is upon this that the leadership of the association asked all medical laboratory professionals to halt their industrial action and report back to work with effect from 15th of January 2022.
We therefore hereby inform all the medical laboratory personnel in various government health facilities to report back for duty with effect from 15th January 2022, as government has committed itself to have our issues handled within 1 month from 12th January 2022.
It should be remembered that medical laboratory professionals in all government facilities laid down their tools on the 21st of December 2021 as a result of delayed and poor response from government authorities responsible towards their welfare. Nalgo Muyingo, Africa Today.
The Uganda National Bureau of Standards has waived pre-export verification of conformity surcharge fees on newly tagged commodities for 3 months. Kachanchu has more.
John Paul Musimami, the acting executive director at the Uganda National Bureau of Standards, said this is due to the formulation and development of a number of standards since the Bureau has expanded its scope of commodities it regulates. He said there has been an increase in the number of import commodities tagged for their intervention on the Uganda electronic single window, and the development has affected a number of importers who were unaware that their import commodities are regulated by the Bureau. In consideration of the challenge, Musimami said the Bureau is providing an exemption period of 3 months against PVOC requirements. He said this will be based on some terms which include the commodities being newly targeted for inspection, and importers with affected consignments shall be required to personally approach the Bureau head office with an official request addressed to the Manager, Imports Inspection Department. To qualify for this exemption, Musimami said the importer shall have to sign a commitment with the Bureau that all his or her future consignments covered by compulsory Uganda standards shall comply with all UNBS requirements on expiry of the waiver period of March 13, 2022.
Let's take a quick break. We will be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching TV Africa News, The Right to Know. The Sudanese police announced that one of its generals had been killed on Thursday in Khartoum while protecting the protesters against the coup. This comes just days after the opening of the UN-sponsored dialogue.
Sudan has been plunged into violence since General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan led a push on 25th October. So far, live fire, tear gas and baton charges have killed 63 protesters. Sudanese security forces fired tear gas at thousands of anti-putsch protesters in Khartoum again on Thursday, reigniting the violence days after the UN-sponsored dialogue. Between the different camps, the UN has been trying to get all the Sudanese actors back to the negotiating table for weeks. The Association of Sudanese Professionals, which played a key role in the anti-Bashir protests, has completely rejected such talks, while the Forces for Freedom and Change, the main civilian political bloc, has demanded guarantees that such a dialogue does not seek to legitimize the new regime born out of the coup.
Armed forces in the Democratic Republic of Congo have launched a series of attacks against the positions held by allied democratic forces in Virunga National Park in the east of the country.
The air offensive follows a joint operation at the end of November with Ugandan forces who are also fighting the group. Captain Anthony Mwalushai, spokesperson for the FADC, said that their series of bombardments continue in Beni territory, adding that yesterday they bombed several enemy strongholds. He added that yesterday they called them at 12 o'clock sharp at the time of their prayer and are sure and certain that the DR Congo will win. On Tuesday, Congolese military sources announced the arrest of one of the founders of the Allied Democratic Forces. The ADF are responsible for thousands of killings in the North Kivu province, as well as recent bomb attacks in Uganda. The Islamic State group presents the ADF as its regional branch.
Moving on, a leading opposition figure in Ethiopia has appealed to the total destruction of the TPLF rebels controlling the Tigray region. The appeal from Eskinder Nega took place days after being released from detention by the government as a gesture of national reconciliation.
The founder of the Balderas for Genuine Democracy Party, Eskinder Nega, said that the Tigray People's Liberation Front army that is fighting has to be destroyed and heavy weaponry must be destroyed. The list of freed political figures include members of Tigray People's Liberation Front as well as Oromo and Amhara ethnic groups. Eskinder Nega confirmed that if the government wants to negotiate with a group that wants to destabilize Ethiopia, then they must respect the majority opinions of the people. The opposition figure was detained in mid-2020 after protests that followed the killing of a popular Oromo singer.
Away from that, the authorities in Burkina Faso have detained this week a total of 15 people suspected of involvement in a plot to destabilize institutions. The group includes one senior army officer, soldiers, and civilians.
While making that announcement on Thursday, the Defense Minister Aime Barthelemy Simpori said that this legal action, which was decided by the military prosecutor, follows reports by a soldier who was allegedly contacted by a group of individuals to join the group in order to carry out destabilization actions against the institutions. According to the Defense Minister, the arrests were ordered by prosecutors at the military tribunal in the capital Ouagadougou. The minister added that at the end of the first hearings, 3 people were released, including 2 civilians and 1 soldier, which means that until today there are still 12 people in preventive detention for the needs of the investigation. Since 2015, Burkina Faso has been fighting a jihadist insurgency. Hundreds of demonstrators took to the streets on November 27 over government's failure to stem the insurgency.
Let's once again take a quick break. We will be right back. 7 months after Twitter was made unavailable in Africa's most populous country, Nigerians could access the platform again on Thursday. The return of Twitter in Nigeria is making the headlines.
According to local sources, Kashifu Inua Abdullah, the Director General of the country's National Information Technology Development Agency, announced the lift of the ban on Wednesday evening. The government of President Muhammad Buhari went back on its decision to suspend the American firm. On June, Nigeria halted Twitter operations after the social media took down one of the president's tweets in which he referred to the 1967-1970 Nigerian Civil War. Authorities then accused the platform of partiality when it pleaded that the tweet went against Twitter rules. The microblogging site has been a useful tool for young activists last year when they protested against police brutality using the hashtag #EndSARS. With more than 60% of its population aged below 25 and a dynamic tech scene, the 40 million Nigerians who own a Twitter account will be satisfied with the decision.
In our health news today, as the country struggles to contain a polio outbreak confirmed in August last year, the Ministry of Health and partners have rolled out a mass polio vaccination exercise in 136 districts, targeting 8.8 million children below 5 years.
Speaking at a function held at Wakiso Health Center 4, health experts said Uganda, like many other African countries, may continue to grapple with random polio outbreaks if its neighboring countries do not invest in ending polio. Hanifa Kawoya, the Minister of State for Health in charge of general duties, said that during the exercise, the children will be given 2 drops of the polio vaccine to protect them against the polio virus. The exercise follows a report on surveillance which confirmed that the water system contained the polio virus. Dr. Daniel Chabainze, the Director of Public Health at the ministry, said they are targeting 8.8 million children. While Uganda is among the few countries that have successfully dealt with polio cases, the rise in vaccine-derived polio virus could be another health setback. Dr. Jonas Waldemariam, the World Health Organization country representative, said Uganda has not reported a polio case since 1996, although it keeps getting cases from neighboring countries. Uganda last had a mass polio vaccination drive in 2019.
And in sports, host Cameroon was the first team through to the knockout stages at the African Cup of Nations after coming from behind for the second time in 2 games to overwhelm Ethiopia 4-1 on Thursday. Kachanchu has more.
The indomitable Lions have indeed proved to be difficult to subdue, and Captain Vincent Abaka scored another brace against Ethiopia to take his tally to 4 goals at the tournament. Lyon forward Karl Toko Ekambi also got 2 for Cameroon, which hit the post 3 times and could have really embarrassed Ethiopia at Olembe Stadium in Yaoundé. Yet Ethiopia's Dawa Hotesa Dukele had stunned the Olembe Stadium into silence with the opening goal in the 4th minute as Cameroon was caught out. Hotesa raced into the position to meet a cross by Emmanuel Gabremichael and expose a big hole in Cameroon's defense. Cameroon shook off that blow just as it did to come from behind to beat Burkina Faso 2-1 in the tournament opener on Sunday with 2 penalties from Abubakar. Ekambi and Abubakar were both taken off by Cameroon coach Tony Conseicao, who knows there are tougher tests ahead. 9 of the first 12 games at the African Cup had ended 1-0, and there were also 2-0 draws, so Cameroon's free scoring result on Thursday brought the tournament some much needed goals.
That was the news. Thank you for always keeping it TV Africa. Please do stay tuned. More programming coming your way.